Hey everyone, this is Sandy with Sewing with Sandy, and we are beginning a sew along this 2024 of Lori Holt's Vintage Christmas, and I'm also throwing in some blocks from Burlap and Blossom Patterns from Etsy, and who knows what else I might throw in as time goes along. But I did want to talk a little bit today about how I organize for these little blocks. And you can see here I've got my dove pattern from Burlap and Blossoms. I'm going to be making the 6-inch of this particular pattern. Now this won't come along for another 2-3 months maybe, but I'm cutting ahead. So how do I figure out when the time comes how to put this block together when I cut it 3 months previous? So the first thing I do is I use a Ziploc bag, and the sandwich size baggies, even the snack size baggies are big enough for most of these blocks. And in it, I either label it with a Sharpie or I throw in a piece of paper that tells when the block is going to be, what the block is, and then the page number from the book, or in this particular case, that it's a Burlap and Blossoms pattern. Okay, then I go in, and you know how these blocks work. If you've ever done any of Lori Holt's patterns, you can see that we've got the background, the olive branch, the beak, and the bird itself. And then over here we have cutting for 6-inch and 12-inch. And again, I'm doing the 6-inch, so I just mark them off as I cut. For sake of the pattern designer, I can't show you the actual sizes. But what I do want you to see is here in my little stacks, these blocks are crazy as far as the number and sizes of the little pieces that you have to make. But what I generally do is if I have a whole bunch that are the same size, I'll do what I've done here. These are all 1.5-inch squares, and I've pinned them together so that when I get to working on this later, I don't have to dig through and try to measure and find all these like sizes. So here's another. These are 3/4-inch squares. Yes, I'm insane for doing these blocks, to be honest. But you can see here that I've got all these ones that are multiples of the same tiny little sizes. They're all pinned together with these safety pins. And that's just to save me time later. I only need to measure one of these, and then I'll know what size all these are. If they're individual, I don't label them or do anything. That will take me a little time to figure out later, but it's no big deal. So I've got, you know, several of these little green pieces for my olive branch, and you can see them here. And they're slightly different in size. These two, even these two are not exactly the same, but I'm gonna measure them individually when I get ready to make this block. So all these background pieces, and then of course these wing pieces here that are gonna go into the block. So for every block, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a baggie, and here's another example. This one I didn't need to pin anything together. This is for February week 1. It's gonna be the Christmas star on page 22, spoiler alert. And I've got everything cut. I've got it in this baggie, and then I will get a container and I will just put these bags in the order in which I'm planning on making them. Another thing I'll do for organization is I'll take extra pieces, like this particular bag has 2-inch pieces. So either 2-inch strips, 2-inch blocks, anything that's 2-inch is gonna go in here. And then later, as I'm working on blocks, if I need something that's 2 inches, I'll come to this bag and take from here first. So I'll probably do, for these Lori Holt blocks, I'll probably do a 1.5, a 2, a 2.5, and a 3, and maybe a 3.5 inch bags, just to put that particular sizes of leftovers. Again, it's just a small organizational thing, but it does help in the long run when you have to be finding pieces that are certain sizes. It saves time to not have to measure everything. So, organizational tips for getting started. This is week 1, and week 1 we are going to do the Away in a Manger block. Grab that here. Okay, so you can see the Away in a Manger block here. And again, the 6-inch, if you're going to do the quilt as it looks on the front of the book, you're going to be making either 6-inch or 12-inch blocks and following the instructions on setting. Now, this particular block, I'm going to actually make an alternative, and you can find the information about that alternative on my Sewing with Sandy page on Facebook. If you're not a member of Sewing with Sandy, please request to join. It is a private group, and so you have to request to join that page so that you can follow along with our sew along. And if you don't already, please like and subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Thank you, and we'll see you again very soon.